is already secured. So good luck to whoever's playing Walking Like I Talk in church. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It is really good to be back in Brevard County. I was here what feels like now a year ago. I mean, it's been 18 months on this trail. And I will tell you, one of the best times I've ever had on this trail was here in Brevard County. We packed out of school. I think it was for a town hall meeting for your no-show congressman. And so we came anyway. I want to thank first my brother Kendall Moore, who I have known for quite some time. Kendall has served this community as an elected official and does a great job ably representing this county. Wherever he goes, he's not ashamed of where he's from, and he shouldn't be. Y'all are an amazing people. And so we thank you for that. I want to thank all of the elected officials, and I know we did acknowledgments earlier, so I won't repeat protocol, but I want to thank all of the capable, existing, and aspiring public servants for this community. Public service is not an easy thing. And so for those who put themselves up for it, I want to salute them for doing that work. So will you give all of your elected officials and those aspirants my name is Andrew Gillum, and I have the pleasure of being the mayor of Florida's capital city, Tallahassee, Florida. And although I'm at the tippy top of the state, I'm actually from the very bottom, maybe even literally and figuratively. I'm from Miami. I grew up, at least one other Miami lover in the house. I grew up in an area called Richmond Heights, down in South Dade. Growing up there, my mother was a school bus driver for the Miami-Dade school system, and my daddy was a construction worker. And when there was no construction work for him to do there, you would find him selling fruits or vegetables on the street corner. On Saturdays, he would set his truck up in the open field across the street from the cemetery and sell flowers to bereaved families. My mother and father did everything that they could to make a way for me and my siblings. They are the best examples of hard work that I know even into this day. My mama right now is in Miami, even though she lives in Georgia, going door to door telling people, vote for my son. I'm like, Mom. I keep telling her, I'm like, Mom, they don't need to hear more than just vote for my son. You know, people got issues they're concerned about. We're going to have to say, no, vote for my son. I'm like, all right, Mom. But I'm so thankful for her. I'm the fifth of 7 kids, and between me and my siblings, I'm the first of my siblings to graduate from high school, and the first of my siblings to graduate from college. You can't tell anybody, honestly, you can't tell anybody in our family that we don't know what it means to see intergenerational poverty interrupted at the hands of a good public education. It's one of the reasons why I am such a fierce defender, along with my colleague and a woman who I look forward to working down the hall from, State Representative Camilla Brown, who's here on the front row, has rolled over with us from Orlando. She is an amazing advocate and champion on behalf of the things that we believe. And together, along with maybe many of you, we believe that it's time to change in the state of Florida. We believe it's time to change. We also believe that our political system needs an infusion of some common sense. Not just common sense, but common decency. Some common respect for one another. We all see what's happening in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to see what's happening at the federal level. But the truth is, before there was a Donald Trump up there, we had a Rick Scott right here. Right? Before there was ever Donald Trump up there, we had him right here. We've seen the way they have moved more and more resources away from the public school system, away from paying our teachers what they're worth for doing the most difficult job that exists on earth. These are the people who pour into our children. They're responsible for the shaping, the molding, the inspiring, the encouraging of the minds of our most precious gifts, our children. Which is why I believe they ought to be paid a wage they can live on. They ought to be paid for the work that they do. And not just them, but the school support workers, the administrators, the counselors, the lunchroom men and women, the janitors. It takes a village. They deserve to be paid. And in the state of Florida, we pay our teachers, our educators, the 45th lowest average salary of the 50 states. Now that's a shame. In fact, if my grandmama was here, she would say that's a crying shame. Because some shames are worth crying about. How we treat our children in this state is a shame worth crying about. But the good news is we can do something about it. The good news is not only can we do something about educating our children, we can do something about creating the kind of economy in this state that allows people to work one job instead of 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. 44% of people in this state say that they cannot make ends meet at the end of the month. They're working, many of them harder than ever, and still can't pull down a wage where they can take care of themselves and their families. But when we win, we're going to fight for a $15 minimum wage in this state. I got to tell you, I don't believe, and maybe this is a value statement, but I don't believe that a person who gets up week in and week out and goes on a job and works 40 hours a week, which is what we say constitutes full-time work, should be paid a poverty wage. Now, we all may have differing levels of success. We may, off of our luck and our hard work and our good fortune, earn more. That's fine. I want you to do radically well. But for folks who are working 40-hour full-time jobs every week, they have to be paid a wage they can live on. It shouldn't be too much to ask in the wealthiest nation in all the world. If I was talking about paying corporate CEOs that wouldn't be quietness, we pay them well. Right? They make good money, and maybe they should make good money, but you know what? Them making good money shouldn't come at the sacrifice of everyday working people being able to earn a wage they can live on. Shouldn't come at that sacrifice. Well, we need a governor in this state who is going to put the protection back in the Environmental Protection Agency here in the state of Florida. Our environment to the biggest polluters known, right? Ruining air quality, ruining water quality. Y'all down here know and south of us know that we got guacamole content algae flowing out of the east and the west side of this state due to high pollution, big sugar, big ag, and big development. And we're made governor of the state of Florida. We're going to do the work of the people. We're going to make sure that big environmental polluters understand that I don't care how much money your corporation makes or brings to this state, you don't have a right to pollute my air. It's our air. It doesn't belong to any one person. But you don't have the right to pollute our water. That's all of our water, not just yours. You don't have the right to single-handedly kill off sea life, to destroy our ecosystem, all because you want to make a dollar. This is all of ours. And when I become governor, we're going to hold them accountable for that. We're going to hold them fully accountable for what they're doing. You all, we deserve a governor who believes in real criminal justice reform in the state of Florida. Real criminal justice reform. It begins by making sure we pass Amendment 4 and make sure that people who are committed to crime, done their time, and that they have their right to vote again. They all have their right to vote. But we can't stop there. I'm proud as the mayor of the city of Tallahassee that when they apply for a job in the city of Tallahassee with the city, unless answering yes to having a criminal background as a disqualifier for the position, otherwise we're going to measure you on your merit. Are you qualified? Can you do the work? Will you make a good employee? And if the answer is yes, then welcome aboard. What we have learned is that those workers tend to be some of the hardest working people we have within our government. Why? Because they know what it means to be without it. When you have the dignity around honest work, nobody wants to lose that. And so we can't tell people we want you to pull yourself up by the bootstrap and then erect every single barrier imaginable to keep people from being able to do just that. But we're not going to stop there in our criminal justice reform. We're going to see to it that we have more adult and youth civil citations. We're going to reinstill restorative justice, the idea of restoring people in the system. Not just breaking folks down, but restoring. We're also going to speak of bail reform in this state. Right now in the state of Florida, 60% of people who are sitting in jails in the state of Florida have yet to be found guilty of a crime. 60%. All because they couldn't afford the money bail system. Overwhelming number of them for nonviolent offenses. When a person ends up in jail for more than 24 hours, 36 hours, they then lose their jobs. Many of them lose their housing. And they find themselves in a vicious cycle of not only poverty but criminal justice. Because Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that people need food, water, shelter, safety. And it almost doesn't matter how they get it. So we got to create the means for people to get it, and to get it honestly. To get it through the legal way. To get it through the legal system. Right? We're going to have criminal justice reform that says stand your ground has no place in civilized society. No place. No place. No place. Because stand your ground. Stand your ground, first of all, is an unnecessary law. We already have castle doctrine in this state. Allows you to protect yourself and your family and your property against intrusion. We already have decades of common law self-defense. That if you find yourself in conflict in public places, that there's already a lot of adjudication, a lot of court precedent on the book that allows you to protect yourself. So why do we need a law that allows somebody to become judge, juror, and executioner all in their own right? Why do we need that law? To agitate a conflict, go in and push somebody else's buttons, threaten other people, cuss folks out, assault them. And then when you get pushed back on, you get to retreat to stand your ground and snuff out innocent life. That doesn't make sense in civilized society. When we're elected governor, y'all, we're going to have common sense. Please do not remove him from this room unless you feel like you have to. I got 3 children, and that ain't nothing. All right? That ain't nothing. Look, I'm gonna consider that my A-game program. Okay? You stay right here, and I'm almost done, so don't worry about it. And if you don't have kids, you'll understand later. All right? Sometimes they do what they want to do. All right. All right? We're going to have common sense gun reform in this state because I'm tired of the NRA being able to run roughshod over all of us. I'm tired of it. And I want y'all to know I'm not afraid to stand up to them. They took me and drug me through court for 2 years. All because in my city we refused to repeal an ordinance which simply said you cannot shoot guns in city parks. Radical. Right? Mine ought to be blown. You can't shoot guns in parks where our kids play and our families picnic. Right? And that was so radical a law that we were allowed to be sued, personally fined, personally held responsible for the opposing party's attorney's fees, personally subject to removal from office at the discretion of the governor. That's the law in the state of Florida. But the good news is I beat them at the circuit court, we beat them at the appellate court, and we'll say we beat them in the Supreme Court if they wanted to take us there. Y'all, we can't win. We can't win. We can't win if we don't fight. Right? I'm tired of rolling over. And by the way, the same thing is true when it comes to this election in November. We can't win by pretending to be Republican-like. Right? Can't do it. It's not gonna work. That's no offense to Republicans. Listen. I got friends who are Republicans. People I love. I sound like one of those people. I got a black friend. I didn't mean it that way. But there are people on both sides of the aisle and everything in between who are common and who are decent and who want a better state that reflects them. And for those folks, we want to welcome them into our fold. But it is not going to come. It is not going to come at the cost of me shrinking from what we believe is necessary in order to create a fair and an honest and a reflective society where all of our lives matter. Where all of us show up in the process. Where all people are respected. regardless of their sexual orientation, their religion or absence of, the color of their skin, their gender, none of that. It will have to happen because we are common and decent people who believe that all of us deserve the same thing, which is an opportunity for our kids to have a good life, an opportunity to work one job and take care of our families, an opportunity for a woman to make her own reproductive health decisions without the intrusion of a man or a man. The opportunity for this state to be a state that works for everybody, not just the well-heeled and the well-connected. We can win on that message. We can't win by running away from it. And so, listen, y'all. It seems we agree on a lot. Right? I'm just guessing. But the truth is, we can't have any of that if we don't do our job by voting. Right? We can't get any of it if we don't do our job voting. Politics, and better yet, democracy, is not a spectator sport. And if we needed any additional proof, there were 6 million fewer people who voted in 16 than who voted in 12. Wow. And look what we got. All right, this is not a spectator sport. This is not a game. This is not funny. It's time for us to win again. And we win by showing up, by showing out, by voting, and by taking everybody that we know to the polls. We got to do that. And y'all, if we do it, God knows, if we do it, we can win. The most frequent question I have gotten on this trail is, Andrew, can you win? And my response is, can you vote? If you vote, we can win. If you vote, we can win. If you vote, we can win. And so my asks of you, first of all, is by a show of hands, how many of us have already voted early? Absentee or early? That's a great number. By a show of hands, how many of us have yet to vote? It's okay, be honest. We got time. Now, if this is the 29th, we're going to run you out of here. Right? If you are eligible and available to vote in this primary, if you've already voted, I need you to take responsibility for them working over the next 5 days to move as many people to the polls as we can. Make that commitment. Make that commitment. If you haven't voted, don't just go by yourself. Take somebody with you. Take several somebodies with you if you can. Arrive with 5. Right? We used to have that. Arrive with 5. Take somebody to vote. Join with me between now and election day if you are on social media and talking about this race every single day, multiple times a day if you have to. If you're convinced that you ought to encourage your friends to vote for me, then I want you to go on there and tell them to vote. Now, if you tell them to vote for somebody else, that's between you and them. But if you're supporting us, I want you to be out there loud and proud and share it. Move people to the polls. We've already closed in on the polling. And by the way, forget all the polling. The only poll that matters is election day. That's it. That's the only poll that matters. So I need you to do that. I'm not here to ask you for more money because we're not allowed to take any more money right now. All we need now is democracy has to work. You got to show up. And you got to show out like your lives depend on it. In fact, for many of us, our lives do depend on our ability to run this place. And so, I have gone over my time. And so we're going to bring this to a close. And I'm simply going to say that if you need to wait till the 28th to vote, don't nobody need to, but on the 28th, the 28th represents a historic day in the arc of the history of this country. In this state, Emmett Till, August 28th, 1955, lost his life. August 28th. August 28th, Dr. Martin Luther King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech in Washington, D.C. That was on August 28th. August 28, 2008, Barack Obama stood in the middle of Invesco Field in Denver, Colorado, and accepted the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. Lord Brevard, on August 28, 2018, you have the ability, that's Tuesday, to go to the polls and elect the most qualified Democrat running for governor in the state of Florida. years of public policy making experience than the 4 of my opponents have combined. Right? You have the opportunity to elect the only non-millionaire Democrat running for governor. Y'all cheer about that, but my wife certainly wishes that were true. But it is what it is. Money don't vote, people do. People vote. On August 28th, you have the opportunity to join with me when you nominate me, the Democratic nominee. Not if, but when. When. Together we will make history because you will nominate for the first time in the history of the state of Florida a person of color to lead a major party as we seek to become governor of the state of Florida. Let's win, y'all.